Some say Elon Musk is boring and his technology is only faster than a snail.
Is what you mentioned earlier, the Michigan U-turns or Michigan left turns, where basically everybody can only make a right, and then there are lots of dedicated U-turns, and because nobody has to make any left turns, it just gets rid of tremendous amount of accidents because that's the most dangerous turn, but also saves a lot of time because it's very easy. You can always just make a U-turn and then head back on the opposite road in the opposite direction. But it's so easy to get on the road because you're just merging right into traffic and you never have to make these dangerous left turns. And therefore, we don't need any of the lights and the intersections because nobody's making left turns. It makes things super convenient, and I hope we start seeing these as well more common across the US.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that clip up as well. It's a cool visual.
Your normal highway. It's also not quite a city street. Yet, it managed to take a simple concept and bring it to a massive scale in an attempt to create a solution for a problem in nearly every American city. And it actually worked. If you've been anywhere around the US, you've probably been on a road like this. In fact, this road is so generic it could be anywhere. But these types of roads are fundamentally flawed. They aim to function as a high-speed road designed to get a lot of cars around quickly, similar to a highway, but they also have businesses and driveways on them, similar to a traditional city street. These are commonly known as stroads. The first problem with stroads is that they're dangerous. With the number of driveways on a road like this, it's full of opportunities for crashes to occur with traffic going in every direction. This is only made worse by the fact that these roads typically have high speed limits. So not only is a crash more likely to occur on a road like this, but the crash is also more likely to be severe.
So both these last two clips were from a group called Streetcraft. Definitely encourage anyone that finds this even the least bit fascinating to go look up Streetcraft and look up some of the other videos. They've done tons of these. And this is an ever increasing
Beautiful is
problem.
another great YouTube channel on the subject.
Yeah, YouTube, Instagram, they're prolific and they have really cool graphical information. So you can see the videos that they put together, make it super easy to understand. And we would wish that the people that are actually making the decisions for road design would team up with people like this. Ultimately, these are real life problems that we're seeing more and more of. And these are one level of solution has to do with redesign. And as they're building out, like here in South Florida, we're forever building highways. Like in much of the country, it seems like they finished building one thing and they're building more and they're putting more lanes and expanding. But much of the same may not work if it doesn't have the benefits of some of these more improved designs, so to speak. And then we can take it to the next level. So there's companies like the Boring Company, which to some may be quite boring, but I don't think that's why they called it that. I think it's because they bore holes in the ground, but I could be wrong. So for those that don't,
Knowing Elon, it's because
that's one of
both.
so that's one of Elon Musk's other companies, the Boring Company. And I've heard him say tongue in cheek that the work they do is boring over there. But it is fascinating work. And you own several Teslas. And ultimately, it's quite fascinating to see vehicles that have full self driving capability, but they have created this loop system. In fact, there's been talk here in Florida. It hasn't really gotten anywhere as far as I know, but there was talk of linking the Fort Lauderdale International Airport to the beach with a tunnel that the boring company would bore the hole to make it so that they could quickly construct this tunnel that takes you right to the beach area where all the tourists and everyone else wants to go. But they do have a couple of these that they've worked on, which are tunnels that are built for the purpose of allowing the Tesla self-driving vehicles to essentially go at high speeds in the tunnel and allow the person to make it from one place to another much more quickly. And I know you've seen this. It is fascinating. And for those that haven't, we'll put up a quick clip of it. But these are the kinds of solutions of the future that as we get more and more traffic, I for one don't want to be stuck in traffic. I love driving. I hate being stuck in traffic. Just the way it is.
Driving in traffic is the worst. Elon has a great way of simplifying problems, and the way he simplifies this problem is that we currently live in a three-dimensional world, especially in dense cities where buildings can have 50 or 100 stories. And then you have all of those people, 100 stories worth of people, which is basically an entire community or neighborhood or a city, funneling out in one entrance and exit into a 2D plane, right? So you have people live in a three-dimensional kind of world, but then the street network is two dimensions. And that really creates these traffic jams because everybody wants to come and arrive and leave at the same time. And it's just physically impossible to accommodate for everybody when you have to accommodate for 3D amount of people in a 2D travel network. So the solution is to turn the travel network into three dimensions as well. Historically, tunnel boring machines, TBMs, were considered the most expensive and some of the most expensive and complex machines in the world. I remember when Israel started working on like the subway for Tel Aviv, it was this huge big deal all over the news. The fact that this TBM arrived in the country, it was like basically headline news because it's such a sophisticated, such an expensive machine. Every hour worth costs tremendous amounts of money, etc. So Elon said, "There's nothing critical in this technology that makes it super expensive and slow and hard. So why don't we just try and simplify this?" So he created the Boring Company when stuck in traffic and wanted to find a way out. And the mission was to build a TBM, tunnel boring machine that is far quicker and more efficient. One of the things they did is they made the tunnel slightly smaller, and they also automated the vast majority of the process. And soon we'll see they basically currently automated the entire thing. But let's take a look at the loop, because what it enables, at least what it did in the convention center and now other parts of Las Vegas, now they're starting to connect all the casinos and the airport. It's just seamless getting around town with no issues. And the thing is, you can dig as many layers deep as you possibly need. And you can basically turn roads into 3D, and then suddenly there are no issues with traffic anymore. If it could be
Now,
cheap and quick.
let's take a look.
So
Pretty
this
cool.
is a very old clip. I think that this is from the first time they completed the first tunnel. I think this is with Jay Leno. He was in the car there. Now it's been in use for the last 2 or 3 years. If you fly to Vegas, go to the convention center, you can try it out. It costs a few bucks. Until recently, or maybe still, they have to have safety drivers, but it is basically the easiest thing to automate. So very soon, those will be self-driving, and they will be able to access much higher speeds. And that's when it really becomes remarkable. Another cool innovation is bottleneck is that elevator that goes up and down. That would be super slow, and that would defeat the entire purpose. So they had to innovate and allow these TBMs to bore at certain angles, which traditionally they didn't really do very much, and allow it to basically bore their way in and out. So you basically drop it in and it just digs down, and then it gets to the depth, and then it does the tunnel, and then it basically it digs the street that you want, the road that you want, right back up to the surface. So it's super, super quick and super convenient. Elon, one of his kids, had a pet snail called Gary the Snail. And he checked, and like a snail bores at like the speed of 2.5 meters per hour or something like that. And at the time, the most advanced tunnel boring machines in the world were like a tenth the speed. And so the stated mission of the Boring Company is to beat Gary the Snail.
And we can now see how that's being accomplished with this zero people or zero person in tunnel technology that automates the drilling of these tunnels without having people in the mine, so to speak, or in the hole. Let's put that clip up for those who can see it. Here we go.
So that last part was the most critical part, because aside from digging, which is pretty complex because there could be a whole bunch of things there, right? There could be pits, there could be that can misalign the TBM, there could be huge stones or pieces of metal that can get stuck in the knives. So there are all the problems of digging itself. Then the second most important thing is you have to remove all this dirt as soon as possible and get it out of the way. And that traditionally they used like gas trains to do, and that means you have to have a whole air system to get rid of the pollutants from the gas system. So this is all electric, which is remarkable in its own right. And then the most important and critical thing is that it actually uses, I think it may even use some of that dirt to make the cement tunnels. So it basically creates the tunnel itself. So the very last part of that clip is where it's taking these newly formed cement pieces and it's shoving it into the wall. So it's building the sides, the circle, the wall of the tunnel as it's digging and moving forward. So it's digging, it's removing the dirt, and it's building the walls all at once. And that's really impressive. So yeah, I can't wait to start seeing this all over. If they can make it quick and efficient and zero humans in the loop, then there's no limit, right? You could just dig as much as you need, as long as it's affordable and quick. We can have a million tunnels going everywhere under every single city and just completely alleviate traffic. So that's the target, and hopefully we beat Gary the Snail soon, or the Boring Company does.
Who would have ever thought that the goal would be to be faster than a snail?
Yeah,
But
it's
there
conceived
you
of
go.
one of the slowest animals, except in that one movie. The kids.
Be sure to watch our other clips and shorts and the entire episode 12 of The Yojo Show